Hello, and welcome to the HPTV Podcast, where we are doing everything we can to get ready for the Harry Potter TV series on HBO in 2027. And today, we're going to give you a news update on some casting, some shooting in London, and also we're doing a deep dive on wands. Steven, where's your wand? You didn't bring it on your business trip?
Yeah, I'm not at home. All my wands are there at home, so I'm wandless. I'll have to learn from these African wizards, apparently, who don't need wands. We'll talk about them later.
Which is way better.
Sabrina.
Yeah.
You know.
I have one wand in storage and one wand in Jamie's possession as well. I own too many, but these are all gifts, and they're the cheaper ones, not the really expensive ones. And you know what we don't have in the spreadsheet right now? We should talk about the wands at the theme parks. So Steven, mentally prepare that. We have talked about it because we talked about theme parks.
We did. It's true.
I have some of the more expensive ones. I have some of the old school. This is like the $35, which is cheap.
Which are fine. The ones from Walmart.
Yep.
Holler.
Oh wait, these are from Walmart. This is from the park.
That's how much the theme park ones cost to start off with, aren't they?
That's what I'm saying. This is how they used to be. They are not $35 at all anymore.
Yeah. Now they're all interactive, and they're like, okay, let's come back to that. Let's start with, there was some news / footage this week. They filmed with Harry and Hagrid, Dominic and Nick, as they may be in real life. It was by Borough Market, which is also adjacent to London Bridge. They redressed the whole area to look 90s. We definitely got Hagrid's stunt double in there with a really creepy mask when he got the right angle. We got Harry in some oversized 90s clothes. I think a lot of people are happy with it compared to like Daniel Radcliffe. What did you guys think of some of the footage and the stills that came out of those two walking around London?
I felt like the pants were just like that style we wore back then. I don't know that they were particularly big, or maybe he was just able to, play it off because the style fit. But yeah, we used to wear really big ones. Like, they weren't quite bell bottoms, but like they would like go really low over your shoes. But I thought it was cool. I know there was some debate about whether or not that was Nick Frost, and Mitchell was pretty confident it wasn't, right?
Well, no. There were shots of Nick Frost, but not the close-ups were of Nick Frost. But I'm telling you, the wide shots.
Someone agreed with you in the comments. They said that.
Every time I zoomed in, I was like, there's a couple dots. The face doesn't look like it has enough movement. I think it's body double, and I don't think we know who's been cast as body double. I mean, we definitely don't have it confirmed. But yeah, I think it was mostly a body double there.
Yeah.
Mitchell brought up a good point in our TikTok, though, which I didn't even think about with the first one, because Daniel Radcliffe's wearing like a flannel. It is August when they are doing this. And I know like it doesn't get as hot there as here all the time, but it's still pretty warm. And it'd be pretty warm to a person who lives in the UK in August. So I think it's funny that he's wearing like a jacket, but it is very 90s. I'm down for that.
Gotta have those layers, you gotta wear 6 different shirts or whatever.
It can be the 80s to the hundreds, okay? Even if you're a skinny person, that is hot. Anyway, it's going to be interesting to see how many times they're out in public and shooting, because there's only so many times.
There's only so many scenes. I'm kind of surprised that we're still seeing them out in public, shooting out in London, because, there's just not that much. There's just those early scenes. So, I mean, it'll be cool.
Well, I wonder, too, they were waiting a little bit to, like, shut down streets and stuff when it's their summer. I am a big fan of shooting schedules. I would love to see, this is the nerdiest thing about me, but when I was in filmmaking, I loved putting together the schedule, because there's so many elements that go into it. So I'm very curious. I'm like, just give me the shooting schedule. Let me know. I won't come stalk you guys. I don't live there.
I was thinking geographically, it's quite far from Embankment where they go. So maybe they tube from one to the other. I don't know exactly where Leaky Cauldron is supposed to be, but it is interesting the different places that they've shot. I mean, I don't care if they fudge the London geography. My other thought was, I mean, a movie, you never know what they're going to shoot when. Maybe we've talked about this, but they are shooting this in order. So this is, King's Cross is probably going to be shot soon, but then it's all Hogwarts from there. So it is funny that they're going to shoot it way more sequentially with the story than they previously would have for the films. We also got some very important casting news. We have the majority of our Weasleys, Fred, George, Ginny, were announced, right?
Percy?
Oh, and Percy. And rumor has it, we already have Molly. We believe that there has not been a Bill or an Arthur, but rumor also has it that they have teased that Charlie's been cast, which means we may get Charlie coming to pick up Norbert, which is pretty cool. What did you guys think of the jolly band of gingers that we have now?
I think they look good. I think we talked about before there was a rumor that Charlie's been cast. So I feel like that there was a big hint that we will see Charlie, which I'm cool with. The twins, I mean, finding redhead twins, you gotta do what you gotta do. They look great. I think Percy reminds me of like the little drawings from the book, well, at least the American illustrations. I do think the twins always in my head were a little bit bulkier, but what are you gonna do? Again, I think they all look really cute. They all look really good. I'm excited.
Yeah,
Just
there's
tell 'em
still
to get
time
into the
fatten 'em
gym.
up. It's fine. Yeah, we'll fatten 'em
Well,
up. It's fine.
hey,
I'll show them
And
how.
equally
It's not that
fatten up,
hard.
guys. You have to equally fatten up twins. Don't mess
I
up.
think they all kind of have curly hair. I think there's a good solid resemblance.
Yeah.
They're more of a real, it looks like they're real redheads. They were dyeing the hairs of the twins in the previous ones. I'm going to shout out their names real quick. Tristan Harland as Fred, Gabriel Harland as George, Rory, it's spelled Ruari, Spooner as Percy, and Gracie Cochran as Ginny Weasley. So that is our set of kids that we're going to have.
They do look like they could be siblings. Like they've got kind of like the same type of like round face. We'll see how as they grow up and stuff if it stays that way. It's just interesting to see such a different like I don't know style of redhead than we had in the movies. Like these ones are a little more I don't know classic redhead.
I think the twins and Percy look a lot alike, and then I think Ron and Jenny look a lot alike. And I just think it works out because they, even in the books, the way they're described, some kids look more like others. But when I
Which
was
is
like looking
normal.
up their names, Rory, for some reason, it popped up that the meaning of his name, which I think is funny, and shout out to his parents, is Red King or Red Haired King. And I'm like, that's awesome. So I think he's
brilliant.
a natural.
I looked up their IMDb's if they had them, really limited appearances. I think Gracie was recently in a Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, a regional one. So she's done kind of some more theater and she has like something lined up. And Rory has a little bit, but none of them have been in anything major. So
Weren't the twins in The Last Kingdom or something? I think I saw that.
yes. And Gracie was in Blitz, which was a Saoirse Ronan movie that came out last year about the Blitz in London, and she has a post on her Instagram where it like points to her, so I don't think it was a big role because it was like, here I am in the shot. Which hey, everyone
how
should
dare
be
she
excited.
not
Hey,
gotten so far with her career
now
yet.
she has a big role, right? The future Mrs. Harry Potter. So
That is true.
They've been doing press for what's the new show that Nick Frost Grow, and so it's been cute to hear a little bit from Dominic, like, and him talk a little
Yeah,
bit
it's
about
the
playing
first
Harry.
time. I mean, he's obviously not giving anything away. Not that there's much to give away, but he's just expressing his excitement and being, I don't know. I just get this positive young childlike wonder from him, and he's got a bit of a round face. I think it's exciting. I think he looks
it's
like
just
a
cool
little
to hear
Potter.
him talk and stuff though. Like you get a sense for like his voice. I mean, Daniel Radcliffe always talks too about how like Harry Potter was Daniel Radcliffe, right? He was just beating himself on camera saying Harry's words. So I think at that age, there's always an element of that. So you kind of start to get a sense of how he'll be as Harry, which is cool. It's exciting. It'll be nice when we start getting our first real footage and stuff.
Let's go ahead. We're going to talk about wands today, following our deep dive series. If you haven't tuned into our other episodes, we started with Albus Dumbledore, and then we went into number 4, Privet Drive. And now an intense and important piece of magic lore, wands, that J.K. Rowling seemed to be interested in. It seems like this is something she wanted to build out and could reflect more on the characters, but we only get so much depth when it's really needed in the series. So we'll kind of go through those bits. But let's start with the materials and the lore behind these magical objects. Jamie, what do you know about wood?
I know
Oliver Wood?
Oh, Oliver Wood. I know some things that I learned from the internet about wood, from mostly, so I will say from like the old Pottermore, which is now all on the wizardingworld.com, a lot of information about wands, which
especially
we'll
wood
talk
and
about.
core, like all those articles,
And
a lot of them are shorter
flexibility.
than I remember, not the wand ones.
No, and
She thought about this.
information from Ollivander himself, apparently, a lot of this. So according to Ollivander, wood wands aren't just pieces of magic timber. They all have almost human qualities. Each type of wood carries its own strengths, affinities, and symbolic meanings. And the right combination of wood and core can reveal a lot about a wizard's character. If you go on there, if you want to learn more about this, they literally have like all the different woods and cores and everything listed out, and you can kind of read about what that kind of means and what that can mean for the people who those wands choose. There's the people that have those wands. So like holly, for example, is rare and protective. It's said to help its owner overcome anger and emotional turmoil. Ollivander says it's often chosen for someone embarking on dangerous quests. And so that makes sense for Harry. Harry's wand is holly, and he stood up to Voldemort with it. And in folklore in general, holly has symbolized protection and warding off evil. So fits Harry very well. There's yew wood that's associated with death, rebirth, and immortality. Voldemort's wand is yew wood, and so it reflects his obsession with conquering death. Willow is linked to healing and recovery, and Ollivander noticed that willow wands often find owners who may struggle with self-confidence but possess hidden strengths. So that's what Ron's wand is made of. And I also think it's kind of funny because this is the wand Ron gets later after his wand is broken. I think it's funny that his original wand was broken by a willow tree, and now
Yeah. A whomping
it
wand.
is fine. And then Hermione's wand is made of vine, and that reflects intellect and determination and a drive to grow, both in knowledge and character. Ollivander reminds us wands are selective, even judgmental. Choosing a wand isn't just about magic, it's about finding a partner that complements who you are at your core. And we'll talk a little more about that, but Ollivander really has his own philosophy on wands, and different wand makers have different philosophies. His is really about the wand driving things.
It's very interesting because
Follow
we know,
your wand.
but we know that when come the Triwizard Tournament, like the foreign wands, like they use different materials, and Harry kind of notes that, and that there's some weird ones. So I'm sure that those will come up, but Ollivander has his preferences, and he's kind of the go-to wand maker for the UK, for all of England, I guess. I don't know how wide ranging it goes, but it's interesting to think that you can have these magical objects, which are really important to wizards being able to perform magic, but that there's actually just such a variety.
I remember someone saying, "Oh, those are the best. He makes the best ones." I'm like, does he even have any competition? Sounds like he has a little bit of a monopoly. Okay.
Maybe people are trying to make underground wands.
Maybe they should. Maybe he
Well,
needs
people
some
making
competition.
seems like people used to kind of make their own wands. Like we'll get into some of that later on, but like Salazar Slytherin made his own wand. Powerful people get it done. Voldemort should have made his own. Anyway,
He could put all the stuff in there.
He wouldn't have to deal with the whole twin core thing if he made his own.
So yeah, let's talk about cores. We hear about this in the book. Every Ollivander wand has a core of a powerful magical substance. We use unicorn hairs, phoenix tail feathers, and the heartstring of dragons. No two Ollivander wands are the same, just as no two unicorns, dragons, or phoenixes are quite the same. And of course, you will never get such good results with another wizard's wand. We'll talk about that in a little bit too. The lore of wands and what wands mean as they connect to people personally. But in the core of a wand is a magical substance, usually from a magical creature, and the core combined with the wood, which determines how the wand behaves and who it connects to. And unicorn hair is consistent with reliability. It rarely changes alliances, which is interesting. We'll talk about that in a second. Generally resist the dark arts, and they are loyal to their first owner, though they can be prone to melancholy if mishandled. Draco, Ron, and Neville and Cedric are some of the people who have unicorn hair. Draco is kind of interesting because his wand does change allegiances to Harry. And part of that, I guess, is because he was trying to use it for dark magic and it didn't like that. So it was kind of fickle, I think. I think it easily went over to Harry because Harry wasn't doing that. And then we have dragon heartstring wands, which are powerful, flamboyant, quick learners, and bond strongly to their current owner. They're temperamental and easier to turn to the dark arts. Hermione has one, Bella, Lockhart, Peter Pettigrew, McGonagall, and Umbridge. So it's just like interesting. Those are very different people, but like the dragon heartstring is in each of their wands and like means different things to each of them.
It is interesting because you have like the flamboyance, the quick learners. Like I think of Lockhart, definitely flamboyant, but like he did have to learn a lot of things quickly too. So there's just a lot of how that can apply to different people and different personalities is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Lockhart was good at one spell.
And then lastly, Phoenix Feathers, which is the rarest. It offers the widest range of magic. They are independent and sometimes act on their own, which we see in the books, and they're very selective about their owners. So, and once their loyalty is won, it's strong. So obviously Voldemort and Harry both had phoenix feathers in their wands, and their wands were connected because it was from the same bird. So they had twin cores. And Ollivander explains to Harry that when two wands with twin cores face each other, neither will fully perform against the other, which is like obviously part of the problem for Voldemort, really, because they're brothers. Some other honorable mentions The only other two that I saw of people who had phoenix feathers was Celestina Warbeck and Kettleburn. So I guess they're special because they have phoenix feathers in their wand. And then the last of the physical appearance of wand is its length and flexibility. These are from the notes of Ollivander on the subject. He says, many wand makers simply match the wand length to the size of the witch or wizard who will use it. But this is a crude measure and fails to take into account many other important considerations. In my experience, longer woods might suit taller wizards, but they tend to be drawn to bigger personalities and those of more spacious and dramatic styles of magic. Neater wands often favor more elegant and refined spellcasting. However, no single aspect of wand composition should be considered in isolation of all others. And the type of wood, the core, and the flexibility may either counterbalance or enhance the attributes of the wand's length. So length is important, guys. I'm just telling you that right now. Wands will be in range between 9 and 14 inches. I feel like...
Except for Hagrid's, his is 16. It's true. It's true. That's all.
It's just that you knew that off the top of your head.
Well, I've been doing some research.
He says, I have sold extremely short wands, 8 inches and under, and very long wands over 15 inches.
I think Umbridge
These
had
are
a
very
small
rare.
wand, which makes a lot of sense because she gives off small wand energy.
And then, and then there's flexibility or rigidity, which denotes the degree of adaptability and the willingness to change possession by the wand and owner pair. So those come into play with wands as well. But it's really kind of cool how, like, the wand can complement someone's personality or who they are, enhance it in different ways.
I guess I always assumed that, like, the flexibility depended on the type of wood. But this makes it sound like you could have, like, the wood, but you could have, like, a flexible one or a stiff one. What is the word
You
for
would
that?
think a willow wand would be floppy, but you can have a floppy ash wand. You can have a strong,
You can have a floppy ash,
firm willow wand. Because willows, if you remember, their branches are kind of, they swing. It's really late. It's really late in my country.
It's really late. And I did not sleep last night. I just want to put that out there.
Me either, actually. I got 3 hours.
So, again, this factor ought to be considered separately from the wood wand core and length, nor of the owner's life experience and style of magic, all of which combined make the wand in question unique. So everyone's wand is unique. And then we could talk about lore of the wand, but the whole idea that the wand chooses the wizard, which I guess is more so coming from Ollivander, but I think other wand makers have that in mind too. Although I'm going to say this wrong, but Cosme Acture, who's the French wand maker. Stephen, did you go to that wand shop in Epic?
I did, actually. It was okay.
I believe it's a female from what I had read before. But
what I've read is that it's a male, but in the film, there was some element of portrayal of it, and it was played by a female. So, hey, Cosme, whatever you want to do, you do you.
You do you. They believe that the final say was the wizard, not the wand. So, according to Ollivander, it's the wand, not the wizard, that ultimately decides who will work for it. So wands aren't sentient, but they kind of are maybe quasi-sentient.
It's a relationship, and we will talk about why Cosme believes that later, because there is some background as to why they feel that way.
When you go into Ollivander's shop, homeboy doesn't let you pick a wand. He you pick one up. If it's not the right one, he yanks it out of your hand and throws it away. And so you only get to take home the one that, makes some kind of, signal that it likes you. So maybe the wizard could choose the wand if Ollivander would get out of the way.
Ollivander has some pros and cons to his personality, as we learned throughout the books. When the wand chooses its owner, they form a unique connection. The wand learns from the wizard, and the wizard learns from the wand. And the wand will always perform best for its true master. So that's why Harry's wand chose him instead of the other way around. And you can obtain a wand in a few ways. You can buy a newly made wand, inherit one, or win it from someone else. Inheriting wands like Neville did using his father's wand, or Ron using Charlie's wand, sometimes work, but rarely bring out the wand's fullest potential. Winning a wand, as Ollivander explains, is about overcoming its current master, which can change its allegiance. So, like, we see Harry take Draco's wand, and then Bellatrix's wand is, like, resisting Hermione because it wasn't rightfully won yet, like the loyalty of it. Harry commented on this idea to Ollivander in Deathly Hallows. He said, "You talk about wands like they've got feelings." And Ollivander replied, "The wand chooses the wizard. That much has always been clear. It's a complex relationship shaped by compatibility, experience, and sometimes a little magic of itself."
We talked about this a little bit when we were talking about, sorting people in the houses and stuff, because there's so much about like the wand and the wizard and their personalities. And I wonder, like, as a wizard grows up and changes, I know like Harry's wand, for example, there's a fair amount of evolution with Harry where it, adapts and learns and defends Harry from Voldemort. But when you think of people like Ron, for example, when he breaks his wand, so he gets his wand significantly later than a lot of other wizards would when they're 11. It's just interesting to think about. Like, I wonder how that impacts, like, which wand picks it. Maybe it would have been a different one if he'd gone at 11 instead of 13.
Well, and like, when did Charlie get another wand?
Yeah, and why did Charlie get another one? That's what I was thinking.
And
like, why would he?
Was it
need to
originally
do
someone
that?
else's wand?
Yeah, maybe it was someone. Maybe he inherited it from someone too.
Yeah, just
Now I have
passing it
Ron's
along
wand
like
here.
Scabbers.
But you can actually buy his original wand as well, which I assume is Charlie's, which was, who knows, bought from a secondhand shop.
Yeah, I think the other piece of that, though, is you think of, like, especially those first couple of years, the students who seem to have struggled the most and weren't as, strong magically, like Neville. I didn't realize that Neville was using his father's wand, so he had inherited his wand. It didn't pick him, and then Ron also inherited one. So I feel like they both had their, remember the whole Wingardium Leviosa fiasco? Well, maybe some of that wasn't all Ron's fault or pronunciation. It was because he wasn't using a wand that was fit for him.
I think that's implied. I think that's part of it. And I also wonder how much wands cost. And I mean, is there a taxation for wizards?
Well,
'Cause
don't
I
we
kinda
know
feel
how much
like
Harry's cost?
if they could take away your wand should be covered by the government. Just putting this out there. I'm gonna
Hey,
start a revolution.
if you abuse the, privilege of your car and use it to harm people, they can take that away without paying you for it, right?
But if every wizard needs a wand,
But they don't. We're
Harry's
gonna
wand
talk
was
about
7
that.
galleons. That seems
Well, that's-
quite reasonable. I do just want to shout out that there are like so many woods and cores listed on the site, and
Yes.
some of them have quirky ones like dogwood. I found that matching dogwood wand with its ideal owner is always entertaining. They're quirky and mischievous. I think it's quite fun that there's not that many cores used by Ollivander, but these different woods can mean something different.
And go look on the website. It's cool. You can look at all the woods. And then also, if you haven't yet before, I mean, I'm sure most Potterheads have, but you can go in and like get a wand assigned to you and everything and figure out what your wand is on the site. So that's
You
really
guys,
fun.
should we save our wands for later? Because
Yeah,
I
I'll
did
save
bring
them for
mine
the
up.
end.
Okay. I just was really excited about my wand wood. So I just want to talk about wands and their impact and their appearances in canon when they're really emphasized. So Harry, I think getting his wand, it's made to be this big moment in the film, as it should be, like, glowing lights. In the book, it's described more as like sparks, and the other ones are more temperamental. They, sputter. They, it really is one of Harry's first experiences because he's seen some magic performed by Hagrid, and he's in this magical world for the first time where things are moving and happening. But this is the first time, like, from himself, he's been manifesting magic in all these ways, but he feels that extra bit of power channeled through his wand. So Harry gets a wand. It's Holly Phoenix Feather, 11 inches, twin cords with Voldemort, and he gets it on page 63 of the British edition. I know, because I wanted to read the passage, but Jamie, I'll quoted all the good stuff.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's
I
okay.
didn't read that.
But yeah, I mean, we don't then learn a ton about other people's wands as we go. We know, in Chamber of Secrets, Ron has a broken wand. Talk about that in a second. But the first glimpse we get of maybe different cultures of wands, or we hear some comments from Ollivander and see some outside stuff, is the weighing of the wands, which is a good chapter, and that does not appear in the film. But Stephen, what do you remember from the weighing of the wands?
Well, that was one of those where we get to learn a little bit about some of the other materials used for wands. So Fleur's is rosewood, and not only is it a Vila hair, it's her grandmother's hair, which is interesting to have that like familial connection. Her wand was inflexible, which was an interesting.
I feel like that's on the
aspect
nose
as
for
well.
her, arrogant. It's her grandmother's. Like, she kind of had did she have it custom made? Did she bring her own hair and was like, make me a wand?
I think it was exactly like that. Maybe her grandmother made it for her. Maybe she plucked her own hair out and made a wand. I mean, it could be anything, but it is really, I think it's kind of fascinating to think about, the origins.
Yep.
Frum's wand was made by Grigorovich, and his was hornbeam, which I don't know what that is, and dragon heartstring, and it was thick, 10 1/4 inches.
Let me read you a little bit about hornbeam.
We're grown men. Yes, we
Okay.
we can get it.
Hornbeam selects for its life mate the talented witch or wizard with a single pure passion, which some might call obsession, though I prefer the term vision. These are Ollivander's words on wands. And it also says, which will almost always be realized. So I guess if you're hornbeam, maybe that's good for an athlete because they have this singular vision that they're chasing. And there's no notes on rosewood. Sorry.
Well, I didn't realize that hornbeam is like a tree. So that's apparently a tree that they have, I'm guessing, over in Europe. And yeah, you can make wands out of it. And then stick a dragon heartstring in it. We also have Cedric's unicorn hair and springy. It's actually 12 1/4 inches. So his is the longest. And do we know? Oh, you can't include any of this.
How can I not? This is all that's happening. We're just laughing the whole time.
There's just going to be.
It's true.
All
We have
right,
to cut out so much.
Let me bring that in. Just so you know, guys, if it seems like this episode is jumping around a little bit and we randomly jump to a moment when we're all laughing really hard, it's because Steven made an inappropriate joke about wands. All right.
The length of wands, to be clear.
We don't know Cedric's type of wood. I mean, from the book passage, I don't think. Anyway.
Yeah, it doesn't say. Was that on Pottermore? I mean, the formerly known as Pottermore?
I pulled that straight from the book.
Okay.
But maybe I missed an element or something. But I like that Cedric, I mean, he like polishes one. He treats it like a weapon. I think of it when you get a new cell phone, you spend literally $700 to $1,000 on a phone now. Our phones do everything for us. They do our banking. They do our camera. They're really valuable. We use them a ton. That's why I actually kind of think they're worth the money, but you treat them so nicely. But then by like 2 months in, you're throwing it, you're like, no big deal. It's got a case on it. And it's funny that Cedric would keep polishing him and Harry realized that he's been a bit grubby. I like that counter in their personalities. And yeah, like these personalities are matching these wands. And I think that is a good example.
And Cedric's wand is ash wood. I looked it up.
There we go.
According to Google.
It cleaves to its one true master, not to be passed on or gifted from the original owner, because it will lose power and skill. The tendency is extreme if the core is of unicorn. Tools, magical and ordinary, made from ash are especially productive as ash trees are known to attract energy. Ash people are kind and generous with a gift for seeing what is beautiful in the world and others. Ash people should be careful that their romantic hearts do not lead them into danger.
That's interesting.
That's the longest one, I think.
You know what makes me think of, though, is what do they do with people's wands when they die? Like, because, Cedric died, obviously, and I think he had his wand, right? His wand came back with him. Didn't Harry grab both wands?
I think you get buried. I mean,
Dumbledore got buried with his wand.
Yeah. Maybe if it's like a family tradition to pass on the wand or something, I would assume you're just buried with it.
I like the idea of that, but it must be like, oh, this certain type of wand does well with being passed down, or
maybe it's a way to remember someone by like having their wand.
You put it on the mantle. You know what I also think though is, remember there's that scene in Deathly Hallows when someone's holding multiple wands and like does a spell and it like comes out like with all the extra 4. I wonder if you could just like accumulate wands for the family and then you could just go kick some butt out there with all the extra wands.
I was thinking about. Wands kind of remind me of lightsabers, You have to go hunt down your own kyber crystal and make your own lightsaber. I was also thinking in the theme parks, you can make your own lightsaber. You just get to choose from like whatever 10 generic wands. It's not the same as building your lightsaber, but I did think of it as like, yeah, would you, are you going to do a wand like Ventress? Just saying.
It's interesting. I mean, yeah, you could get the double-sided one like Darth Maul. I think there's a lot of options there, but it is cool. I mean, because especially going to Epic Universe, with they added the new wands, like there are a lot of different ones. I get that they're still only like 20 or something, but then there's the ones that have been discontinued too. Like my son Tommy, he got one that they don't have anymore, and so we went one time to try and you get them repaired if they're having issues. And the guy was like, well, they don't make this. We don't have this one anymore. We won't be able to fix it, so we can get you another one. And I was like, because, big secret, hopefully people know this already, but you take your wand there if it's not working, and they'll repair your wand, which is just replacing it, if as long as it's like a legitimate one. But he couldn't replace it because they don't make that one. So he was kind of like, it might actually be worth some money or something if you hold on to it. So we decided to keep it. And Tommy really likes it because it has like a skull on the end. And that's
cool.
just Tommy. He loves him. Anything referring to death. But there were a lot that have gone that are no longer like sold. So I'd be curious. I have to look that up. Like, how many have there been so far that they actually produce like official ones? Because there were a lot in Epic Universe. And then I know there's a good number that were already in the other parks. So I'm guessing there's probably 30 or 40 you can pick from, plus the retired ones.
Well, my Harry wand that I've been playing with is like a collector one that I got at the park, I think in the last at least 5 years. And it says Fragile Collector Wand, not a toy.
Not a toy.
And I've been playing with.
It's interesting because, it was like a 3-hour queue to do the Ollivander experience. So I actually never did it. Now I think it's a lot easier. But you got one of a few wands. And so they've probably done that many times over. They had some generic Death Eater wands. And now every character has kind of had a wand release. Then they did the Fantastic Beast wands. I have a generic Death Eater wand. I don't know. So it's,
I think even the Death Eaters who we only like learn their name, we don't learn anything about them. Like there's a wand for that person's name. So like they just started putting one out for every named character basically.
And some of them are interactive. Okay, let's move on a little bit to the through some of the story where wands matter, because the next thing with the twin wands is really the Priori Incantatem, where Harry and Voldemort are dueling in the graveyard at the end of Goblet of Fire, and their wands kind of won't go at each other, but instead they kind of ignite this thing where Voldemort's past spells start to emerge, and we get to see the people that he's killed, which is really cool. It just shows how wands work. We also have, the time Harry thought his wand was moving in his hand at the beginning of Deathly Hallows, and it's just like, what is the sentience beyond in these wands? And I think it's a fun thing that would fit into stories outside of Harry Potter, or if we learned a little bit about a character's wand maybe before we learned a lot about them, I think it could be a cool bit of foreshadowing. Other moments, wand breaks. Ron's obviously breaks. Hagrid can still do some pretty decent magic, even though the pieces of his are just plucked back into.
Yeah, we're told his has
umbrella.
been snapped in half, and so the fact that like Ron struggles so much, but Hagrid's able to still use his pretty well, is pretty interesting. I wonder do we know what Hagrid's is made of or anything?
Somebody Google it. One cool
Maybe
thing
not.
about the those pictures that came out the other day is you could clearly see in some of the shots where Hagrid's jacket was open, you could see his pink umbrella, which is where his wand is. But here's the thing, maybe Dumbledore could reply. Dumbledore's really good at magic. Maybe he could kind of repair it. One thing we do learn is that only the Elder Wand can repair other wands.
That's always been my theory about Hagrid's wand, is that Dumbledore repaired it and let him put an umbrella. But it says that Hagrid's wand is made of oak wood. It's described as being rather bendy, 16 inches long. The core is never explicitly stated in the books, according to this.
But yeah, we don't see any other, we see some wands start to change hands, which kind of leads us into the Elder Wand, which we kind of get to learn about this bloody history of people killing each other for it. It's one of the 3 Deathly Hallows, made maybe by the Petherborough brothers, maybe by death. I like to leave it up to chance. But the big thing is, the allegiance. That wand is different from other wands where it will change allegiance to whoever has won it. You don't even have to win it. You can just defeat its owner, and because you're more powerful, it will answer to you. And if Jamie has the Elder Wand there, and so what Harry, all he has to do is rip the Blackthorn wand out of Malfoy's hand and be like, "That's mine." So he's defeated it. Anyway, not my favorite part of. Generally, I feel like J.K. Rowling landed the plan on this series, but wand lore does, and wand loyalty does play into the ending there.
It is true. It's interesting that you can win that. But I always wonder is there another way to win the Elder Wand? Because if it's an unbeatable wand, which is what we hear, then like we know Dumbledore defeated Grindelwald. We still don't know how exactly, but I wonder if there was like a little side quest to defeat him some other way before he then had the battle, and he won the battle because the wand already had its allegiance to Dumbledore. So it's kind of crazy to think about, because how do you then, other than historically they would kill wizards in their sleep or something to then steal it, but if it's unbeatable, then how do you win a duel against a person with that thing?
How did Dumbledore do it?
And when it comes to Draco, learning a little more about his wand and the unicorn hair core, And maybe I just wish it was explained better, because I wonder if the whole point is that, like, Harry just overall was a better human being than Draco, and Draco was so unsure about himself that his wand lost allegiance. But I just still don't think him losing the allegiance of the Elder Wand through Harry taking another wand from him, I just think it's so far of a stretch
Yeah,
overall.
it
I just needed
is.
something a little more of an explanation of it.
And how about the abomination of Harry snapping the Elder Wand in half in the film? Come on. What are we
Yeah, they
doing?
better not do that again on the show. But Mitchell, just to, correct you because I like to, the Blackthorn wand is the one that Ron stole from a snatcher and then Harry used. Draco's wand was made of hawthorn and only 10
okay.
inches, by the way, shorter than Harry's. And it had a unicorn hair core, like Jamie said already. But yeah, so that's interesting. But yeah, other wands, we know that they were like change allegiance because they were taken, so physically ripped from someone's hands and stuff. But because Draco's wand was also working properly for Harry because he won it, right? So by stealing Draco's wand, he actually got the allegiance of 2 different wands, which is crazy. But it is one of those key moments that's very integral to the rest of the story, right? Just like the twin course, is that if not for the wands having the relationship that they have and the past of the wizards that's tied to those wands, then the story doesn't work out the way that it otherwise, well, the way that it did for us.
And it's nice how Deathly Hallows kind of builds to that, because like Harry, his wand gets broken. He borrows Hermione's, and we see it doesn't work that well for him. And then he gets a Snatcher's wand, and it doesn't work. It's interesting to see that they're kind of like hinting at the importance of this. A couple other quick notes on wands is just the personal relationship. It was said that like everyone, even Bellatrix, was kind of reluctant to give Voldemort their wand, and he takes Lucius's, and Lucius can't say no. It was like the ultimate "I own you" from Voldemort. And then last to say, goblins and house elves cannot have wands. They're pretty powerful magical creatures. We've seen what house elves can do by snapping their fingers. It is interesting that wizards, especially European wizards, as we'll talk about in just a moment, don't want them to have that extra ability to channel their magic, or maybe, up their magic through that. I mean, also nonverbal spells. I think it's interesting that wands do better with need a lot in the beginning, that verbal command. They need to be told what, whereas you can grow that relationship, you can grow your own magical power. I always thought that was really cool that they start learning that in 6th year. But we see a few wizards, obviously kids manifest some power before they go to Hogwarts, so they don't have a wand. We see Dumbledore do some magic without a wand, mostly in the films, but I was like, kind of makes sense. And then we kind of learned something about international wand tradition from Pottermore, and this is something I want to learn a little bit more about.
It's true. So we know that from, again, Pottermore / Wizarding World website, is that the wand is a European invention. So, like, for example, in Africa, witches and wizards, they have adopted it as a useful tool in the last century or so, but many spells are cast simply by pointing their finger or through hand gestures. So, how do you say this? Ouagadougou students, which is the name of the school in Africa, right? Ouagadougou. It gives those students a sturdy line of defense when accused of breaking international statutes of secrecy, because they can say, I was only waving. I didn't mean for his chin to fall off. Because at a recent international symposium of animage, the Ouagadougou school team attracted a lot of press when their exhibition of synchronized transforming caused a near riot. Many older and more experienced witches and wizards felt threatened by 14-year-olds who could turn at will into elephants and cheetahs, and a formal complaint was lodged with the International Confederation of Wizards by Adrian Tutley, whose animagus is a gerbil.
That's pretty funny.
And the long list of celebrated ex-students produced by Ouagadougou includes Babajide Akingbade, who succeeded Albus Dumbledore as the supreme mugwump of the International Confederation of Wizards. So we know that there is this group that they only need their fingers to exercise magic, which again is just crazy, because I think there's stories I remember of people who didn't have wands, or isn't that tied to like children who have like magic coming out of them, but they don't have a way to channel it through a wand. And so maybe that's just, Europeans' lack of imagination. I think they have to have a wand, but in Africa, they figured it out. It sounds like they're pretty good at it, because it would be really cool to see this synchronized transfiguration that they did with all the animals and stuff. I think someone needs to make that video for us. That'd be dope.
No, I think wandless magic, that makes so much sense to me that might be the next step. Like there's elements that you can do without a wand. So it's kind of cool to see that she formed that. Also, Ouagadougou, which we gotta figure out how to pronounce that. Joe does say like that's one where it's such a big continent, and that she said that I think she says there's only 11 major schools in the world, and that is the major one for Africa. So the idea that like you have this massive population that we don't get to know anything about have that own tradition. That's pretty
Spin-off,
cool.
baby. Let's get another series.
I'm all
And
for
like
it.
obviously you probably have to train either which way to use, like use a wand or not use a wand. So it's probably like the easier route to use a wand. And like you said, you can make mistakes and stuff with like hand gestures. But it's kind of cool also that you wouldn't need a wand, and how like,
Well, like I
your
think
magic is just
there's
part
an
of you.
advantage to it that you
Yeah.
don't need this object. Also, when I think about finger pointing, I just think of Sabrina the Teenage
too.
Witch, where there was so much
We
pointing.
were big Sabrina Teenage Witch watchers, and I used to have dreams when I was a kid that I had magic, and so that's always like it would be through my finger.
But
Would be the
I've
best.
read some books where you have to do like very specific hand gestures to like create certain types of magic, and that also makes me think, oh, that is difficult all in itself to have to like do the exact hand gestures. But anyway, a couple other international traditions. How about our own traditions? In the good old US of A, you have to actually register your wand, which kind of makes sense. And this all has to do with kind of the different relationship that wizards in America have with the no mages. So everything has to be registered. You got to be real careful, real organized. As someone who's looking into paperwork to get my son US citizenship, it just makes me think you have all that red tape from the government. But there's a lot of US wand makers that we'll talk about. Obviously, much bigger country than Britain. Interesting to think. And they are also kind of involved in the founding of the school, which is pretty cool. The only other one I wanted to touch on was in Japan. There's a very rare cherry wood that is like highly respected as the wand. And it's a special bit of prestige. So it looks like adopted later in Asia as well. So stupid Europeans and their imperialization, their spreading of all their Western ideals. But it is kind of cool because, of course, the cherry blossoms have a special place in Japanese culture as well. So that is just the one thing we learn about them and their Japanese school, which I'm not going to attempt to pronounce. It's something like, well, no, I'm not going to do it. But just want to touch on because, we only have so much information. I think the Africa bit is the most interesting. Then I guess we should talk about some of the wand makers beyond Ollivander. His name is Garrick, and he is in a long line, including Garant, Gerbold, Gervais. That's why I did Gary, because, it's a relevant G name that he's next. It doesn't seem like Ollivander had a kid, because when he gets kidnapped and everything, we don't hear anything about someone to succeed him. Has he been training someone? They seem like a very strongly opinionated, maybe posh British group of people, those Ollivanders. But we've learned a lot about him, so we definitely hear the name Grigorovich. He pursued the Elder Wand as well, and Voldemort kills him.
Yeah.
He makes Crumb's wand, so we kind of hear his name the most. But in the U.S., there were 4 renowned wall makers using cores and wood native to the U.S., including the founder of Ilvermorny, Isolt Sayre. I don't know if we ever looked that up. And she's the earliest known wand maker in America. And then Jacoby Wolf used the Thunderbird tail feather. Johannes Jonker used Wampus cat hair. So these are also the animals associated with the Ilvermorny houses. So I wonder if it's almost like if the founders of Hogwarts were also using a snake, a badger, a griffin, whatever, to create wand stuff. And then Tiago Quintana used White River monster spine, which went out of fashion. Shocker. And Violetta Bovis used Rougarou hairs. Anyway, America has many wand makers and integral to the starting of Ilvermorny itself, which is quite interesting.
But wait, this is really interesting too, because you made a good point that Grigorovich gets killed. Ollivander doesn't have any like successor, and he's pretty freaking old at the end of Deathly Hallows. So like, what wand makers are left? Maybe have to import all their wands from the U.S. and they're gonna get tariffed like crazy from Trump. So no more wands in Europe.
The Harry Potter wiki, harrypotterfandom.com, it does say that he had children. It said he has a son and daughter, but I don't know. That must have maybe been on Pottermore at some point. but his daughter did pass before 2011, and I don't know where
Well,
the
they've
son
all
is.
been men, all these G's. So let's think, what was her name? Geraldine? What's a G female name?
Genevieve.
Ooh, that's a good one. It's a pretty name.
Isn't
That's
that
Jenny's
Jenny's
name, isn't it?
name? Yeah.
I thought it was Guinevere.
It just says
Or
it's
no.
possible that he took over for his father as the owner, but the individual is only mentioned in the old Pottermore, so it's not
It's
even there
time
anymore.
for some wand innovation. There are some others mentioned. I don't know if there's any mentioned in Harry Potter Legacy. I didn't see anything because usually the wiki will include stuff from Harry Potter Legacy. So this one does say something about Arturo Cephalopoulos was a wand maker in the 19th century. During this time, silver lime was fashionable. He claimed that its association with divination was a falsehood circulated by merchants like Gerbold Ollivander, who have overstocked their workshops. So a little bit of controversy here. And Garrick Ollivander said that Cephalopoulos was a slipshod wand maker and an ignoramus who, to no one's surprise, went out of business.
Some strong words between wand makers.
I know. There's some rivalry. So there was another wand maker. Maybe that's the one from Hogwarts Legacy. Anyway, and then one more thing on Cosme Akajor. He obtained his wand from another wand maker, and the wand chose him. And during his youth, he attended Beauxbaton, but performed poorly as he had not properly bonded with his wand. And over the years, he made adjustments to his wand to the envy of his fellow students. So upon graduation, he set up his own wand shop to sell his services to others. So maybe that's why he is open to the bond, like the wizard and the evolution of that relationship. But yeah, a critical thing, these wand makers.
You can modify your wand. Like, he made adjustments to his wand. So, like, if you feel like, I don't know, maybe you can add to it or swap out the core or something. This brings on like a whole new realm for me.
Decorate it, add a second wood. There's evolution to be had.
Can add. Well, I mean, like, didn't Lucius? I mean, I don't think it's in the books, right? That his wand slips into his cane like that, but in the movies it does. So I wonder if you can do things like that.
Do you think he showed up to Hogwarts with a
handle
cane
on the end and then slide that sucker in there? I don't know. I mean, you know, pimp canes, those are all the rage when I was in high school. So see it.
Well, and some wands look like skeletal. I wonder, if there's some other materials like ivory that you could make a wand out of. It seems like this is a rich.
Put something over the outside, you know, like give it some color, some variety. I think I would do something. We could like have a Pimp My Wand show, and I feel like that could be really popular.
Well, wands, I think the way that they matched their personality and they had to do with I don't know if you'd say the twist or the reveal at the end of the series, clearly the most important magical object really that we have, and they do reflect your identity. They can have to do with your destiny. They're quite on the nose sometimes, but I think it's clear that Joe thought about this and there could be some rich, interesting stuff. But do you guys have any favorite wands, or is there anything you want to see wand wise in the new show? Like if they redesign Harry's wand, is that going to be an issue?
They sell all these wands at Universal and at the studio tour, so I wonder how that's going to change, if there's just going to be different versions, like buy Harry's wand from the series, buy Harry's wand from the movie. But I won't be mad at all if they change the wands. It's always kind of cool to see a different interpretation thing, especially for a lot of the wands there aren't too many descriptions of them, so they can kind of do it up.
I agree. Whose idea were these, and had Joe had to approve them? Because some of them like are kind of lame, or some are like quite flowery, they're quite on the nose, but maybe that is what Joe intended with some of these. But like, I like how they match the personality sometimes, but then sometimes I disagree. Like a lot of the women's wands are quite feminine, and that seems a bit like, oh, we're gonna have flowers on this. There's like flowers on a couple, I think Ginny's, and then I think McGonagall's has one on bottom, and they're really polished and nice. But I'm not married to any of the designs. I remember walking in, wanting to buy a wand and wanting one to jump out, and I actually really like Slughorns. I just remember wanting to find one that kind of stood out, and none of them were my absolute fave. And I was like, okay, I love Sirius Black. I hope I like Sirius Black's wand the most. And it doesn't always match up that way. And I need to look at them all again. But there's definitely some really cool ones. They got more creative as time went on as well. So some of the OG characters don't even have the coolest. But if you want wands, you can buy them through Warner Brothers. There's also a company called the Noble Collection that does a lot of wand sales that are quite reasonable. You can get like a mystery wand package. They used to be at Walmart. I don't know where they are now. And then if you go to the parks, you're going to pay a pretty penny, but they're interactive. And I hear the interactive stuff in Epic Universe is a big step up. I like it. I have 5 wands. I think I've paid for 3. No, I have 6 wands. Maybe I paid for 3. I don't know, but I'm gonna have a hard time going back as these prices raise to get another one. It's hard to justify.
Derek,
I'd have 7 wands right here. Do I have your Series Black one, Mitchell? Is that the one I got somewhere? I don't know where I have that, but and then I have like a random one. But like Luna's wand, I think I have like the Walmart version, and then this is the theme park version. And I think they look different. But like her wand, I don't think necessarily matches her personality. So I think it'd be cool to have more kind of unique looking wands. But also, Mitchell, way off topic. Remember one time were you at church and someone was conducting the music with a wand?
I have a picture of that actually. Yes. That's back when Snapchat was still cool, or I was still allowed to be on Snapchat. It wasn't weird. And I put that on my story, and it still pops up because I have it on a screenshot memory. And she was directing music, and we're like, is that a Harry Potter wand? And by the end, we were positive. We knew.
You sent in the chat. We all like researched which one. I think it was Luna.
We zoomed in to make sure we knew. But yeah, wands are fun. Who'd have thought?
You guys want to tell your wands?
Yeah. I'll go first.
Okay.
Mine is sycamore wood with a unicorn core, 10 3/4 inches, and surprisingly swishy flexibility. So sycamore makes a questing wand, eager for new experiences and losing brilliance if engaged in mundane activities. So no offense to Miss Weasley, who is wonderful, but I feel like if every day I was just making the pots and pans clean, my wand would lose its brilliance. It's a quirk of these handsome wands that they may combust if allowed to become bored, and many witches and wizards settling down into middle age are disconcerted to find their trusty wand bursting into flame in their hand as they ask it one more time to fetch their slippers. This is seriously what it says. As maybe deduced, the sycamore's ideal owner is curious, vital, and adventurous, and when paired with an owner, it demonstrates capacity to learn and adapt and earns its rightful place among the world's most highly prized woods. The unicorn, we've kind of talked about a little bit, but generally the most difficult to turn to the dark arts. Wow, I have a heart of gold. And they're the most faithful. Minor disadvantages are that they may not make the most powerful ones, although the wand wood may compensate, and they are prone to melancholy if mishandled. And then, the lengthwise, it just gives that same quote. And then wand flexibility is the degree of adaptability. So clearly, because it's a questing wand and a curiosity to learn, it has to be somewhat flexible. I would really be worried about breaking it if it was flexible. Just saying.
Well,
anyway,
wouldn't you be worried about breaking if it was not flexible?
Either way, both. Yep, I'm worried. It's like the bending glass they have on phones now. I'm going to screw it up either way.
I also have a sycamore wand. Although, so what Mitchell said, all the same, but I have a dragon core. So dragon heartstring produce wands with the most power, which are capable of the most flamboyant spells. Dragon woods tend to learn more quickly than other types. While they can change alliance if won from their original master, they always bond strongly with their current owner. And
I'm worried we're limited to British wands. I feel like this quiz, which was only like 6 questions, is not good enough.
We didn't just stand in a room for hours with being yelled at that wands aren't working for us. But it's the easiest to turn to the dark arts, although it will not incline that way on its own accord. So it's up to you. My wand is 12 3/4 in length. So my wand is longer than Mitchell's. I'm short, so it's interesting that I have a long wand.
Well, you know what? I was talking about lightsabers earlier. I built a lightsaber, and it was expensive, and I haven't seen it in years because it's in storage because I couldn't bring it to England with me. And I always was like, you know what? I made the hilt much longer than I wanted to be. I was like, there is something about portability, and also I switched from like the big Samsung phones to the small Samsung phone, so maybe compact is right for a wand.
That's good for Mitchell.
How long was yours
Maybe
again?
10 3/4 inches.
Oh,
Maybe
so
length isn't
okay.
everything. Harry's a great wizard, and his is only 0.25 inches longer than mine.
And then mine is reasonably supple in flexibility. So I don't know. And we forgot to kind of say that too. Like when Harry goes and gets his wand, like remember he gets measured. Like he measures his wand arm and all that too. We weren't measured for these. No one measured me.
Measured
No,
everything,
this is-
even like what the space between his nostrils. Like
This
all
is
kinds of things.
imperfect.
I feel like it could be better. Well, let me tell you about mine. So mine is not made of sycamore. I guess I'm the odd sibling out, but mine is aspen wood. So wand quality aspen wood is white and fine grained. So I have a white wand, and highly prized by
That's
all
cool.
wand makers for its stylish resemblance to ivory and its usually outstanding charm work. The proper owner of the Aspen wand is often an accomplished duelist or destined to be so, for the Aspen wand is one of those particularly suited to martial magic. Not like, but like martial arts, so fighting magic. I didn't know that was a thing, martial magic. That's cool. Apparently, I'm good at that, by the way. An infamous and secretive 18th century dueling club, which called itself the Silver Spears, was reputed to admit only those who owned Aspen wands. In my experience, Aspen wand owners are generally strong-minded and determined, more likely than most to be attracted by quests and new orders. This is a wand for revolutionaries. So,
You say you want a revolution.
you
You know, it's kind of
know,
cool that yours is an aspen wand and you're from Colorado. We have a lot of aspen trees.
it's true. There's aspens all over. I have a unicorn core. I think we've talked about that plenty already, except, it means I'm awesome. And then mine is 12.25 inches, so not as long as Jamie's, but longer than Mitchell's. It is unbending flexibility. It's
Stubborn.
rigid.
Does that mean?
Yeah.
Don't break it. How?
I always knew I would have the longest wand out of the three of us.
Well, these all talk about length, but we don't get anything about like girth. Like, are these suckers?
The only
Like-
one we get girth
like-
comments on is Crumbs.
Yeah, there's
He's
like a
girthy.
short, fat one, and I mean, I guess you could always add that extra stuff on the outside to make it look girthy if you want to. We talked about decorating it or something, but anyway, I like my wand. Aspen wood is pretty cool.
I like my wand better than I like my
sounds like it
Patronus.
bites you
So
all.
I'll take it.
It's true.
I want to get my wand made. Can I have is there a person out there?
I bet
Will
there
make
is.
exactly my hair.
There's a person out there. We're gonna find them.
Somebody's got an Etsy shop that is killing it.
Customize
stuff.
those suckers. Yep.
I do have a wand, I think, from Etsy. Because we used to, when our nieces and nephews turned of age, 11, we would have a Harry Potter party. And I think our sister ordered us all wands off of Etsy one time.
That's cool. I think, it'd be interesting to look at all of our siblings. We should get our siblings to take the wand test. Also, there needs to be a table of all the Weasleys wands. And I was going to say earlier with the Weasleys, I was like, like some look more related than others. Like I did think the sister kind of looked like the twins. And I was like, we don't all, we have 6 siblings and not all of us. You'd tell right away. There's one sister that people think I look like. And she was here in London recently. So I heard it many times. They're like, whoa, you guys look alike. I'm like, I don't see it.
Well, it can be like me and Steven in high school, and we always were hanging out together because we were siblings. The Steven drove me places, and people did not think we were related and asked if we were dating. And
I
just
love
threw
some
up in my
pretty
mouth.
weird questions. I gotta tell you.
Yeah, that was awkward for me. They'd be like, is your sister dating that guy? And I'd be like, my brother? We don't do that. Luckily, I didn't have to go to high school with either of you. So it worked out.
Thank
for
you.
me.
We didn't go to high school together at all.
No, isn't that sad? You graduated the year before I started.
Really? I thought you
I
guys
graduated
overlapped a
2006.
little bit.
I think every other pair of siblings overlapped by a couple years, but I was a little bit of an accident. So the timing was not the
We're
same.
3 years apart, but I was like the youngest in my grade. So if I had waited,
Yeah. And I was in the
Yeah, you
fell
middle.
into different
I was in
schools.
middle to late in my grade. So
Yeah, most of us overlapped by 2 years in high school. I had my freshman and sophomore year with our older sister in there. So
now my older sister and my mother both worked at my high school. So I was
True.
not
You
without
actually
oversight.
had it the worst because I just had Steven.
yeah,
I
Steven's
remember-
the best.
Mom would substitute as the attendance officer at our high school, and I ditched a lot. And I was student body president, so I kind of used that to ditch, and then I ditched, and all the time she'd be like, is this excused? Is this excused? I'm like,
Did you
Get
get
over
like, a
it.
special card that got you out of class?
no, they stopped doing that by the time I was there, but people trusted me. I always
Apparently,
found a reason.
they shouldn't.
I didn't earn the special card because you had to have good grades, but I would always be a teacher assistant, so I got a different type of card. But I'm glad we all had before the apps that parents could just go check because you would get a call home. So me and Steven, if we ditch, we would just run home and make sure we got the phone call before mom and dad did that. Your student missed class. The good old days. Kids
We
are
knew a
screwed
lot of
these days.
tricks. We did pretty good at. There was another one we used to do, which was if we got home at like 12:15 or 12:30, because we were supposed to be home by midnight. That was our curfew. We found out that we would get caught, and mom and dad would be ticked. So we learned that if we're going to get home late, you got to get home like after 1:30 because then they're so
they fall
asleep,
asleep.
they wouldn't hear us coming in. And then they'd be like, what time did you get in last time? I'm like, I don't know, a little before midnight. Yeah,
What we
awesome.
would do is we would climb through the window into that bedroom downstairs, and then we'd put on a movie, and then Dad would have fallen asleep, and he would come check on us, and he'd be like, when did you guys get here? We're like, we've been here a long time watching this movie. Like, we would put it like halfway through.
Start halfway through.
They stopped paying attention by the time that they were like, be home by midnight, and then they were old, so they went to bed. I used to sneak out. I would take the car before I had a driver's license. I'd open the garage door. I would straight up open the garage door. Like, how could you not hear this loud giant door? I thought I was so smart because I just put it in neutral and roll it out. And I was like, did it matter at that point?
You opened the loud garage. Steven, well, I was usually with Steven or friends, and he would let me drive the car without a license, but Mitchell was all on his own breaking the rules. I think that makes it worse.
Could have been in so much trouble.
For the record, we were pretty good kids. Like, we didn't drink, we didn't go, but we did, stay out. That was our rebellion. So I guess it was good that we had some boundaries to, breach, so that we
just wanted to party at Denny's. To be honest, it was actually a Village Inn, but Denny's.
Yeah,
is
we
more
were a
known,
Village Inn.
Yeah.
I was just at McDonald's or Village Inn.
Good times,
So there's some history on us.
I know,
and our wands.
Very relevant to our wands. Okay. Well, there you go. We've got wands galore. We have another deep dive coming for you next week, and we'll continue to have all the updates. And if you want things even faster than the weekly podcast, follow us on social media at HPTVPod or email us at HPTVPodcast@gmail.com. Jamie, send us out.
Peace out, snitches.